This is the Bolder Than Most podcast, where we talk with those making bold moves in business, real estate, and life. I'm your host, Trae Jacobs. Thank you for being here. Let's jump right in. All right. Welcome back to the Bolder Than Most podcast. I'm your host, Trae Jacobs, and today I'm joined by Mr. Charles Hamilton. Charles, how you doing, bro?
Good. How you doing?
Oh man, I can't complain. You know, it's been a day. It's been a day. Well, actually, first, do you like Charles or Charlie, or what do you go by?
Charles.
What do your friends call you? Charles.
Either.
Okay,
They call
Big
me
Charles.
Charles and Chuck. My family calls me Chuck. Most everybody else calls me Charles.
Oh, where's your family from?
I'm actually from Beaufort, South Carolina. You know where that is?
I know where South Carolina is.
Yeah. Well, if you know where Charleston, South Carolina is, Beaufort, South Carolina is about an hour and 15 minutes south of Charleston, and about 40 to 45 minutes from Hilton Head, South Carolina, and it's kind of in the middle and on the coast. And most people know the Paris Island, which is where the Marine Corps trains.
Nice, man. Nice. Do you go to the beach a lot?
It's got to be old hat because it's when it's here and available to you, you don't take advantage of it as much as you usually do, as other people would. Come down.
Right. I'm in Dallas, Texas now, so you know the closest coast to us is like a 4.5 hour drive. But when I did live by the beach, I never went, right. Man. So I'm a little jealous. I miss it now. We're landlocked, but Dallas is okay. So Charles, what's your background, man? Where are you coming from?
Actually, my initial background was in aerospace engineering. Once I graduated high school, I went to the University of Cincinnati and went to aerospace engineering and did that for a while. And then after I graduated from I got my aerospace engineering degree, there were really no jobs out there. So I had to go work at a company that did mechanical engineering and is really doing CAD CAM C software used to build products and things of that sort. So I did that. And then while I was there, I got a chance to do some consulting at Xerox to that company. And so I was there for probably about 2 to 3 years as the lead engineer there. And then I got a chance to go to Washington, D.C. And after that, I switched jobs in Washington, D.C. and went to work for a couple of different companies, but landed with Booz Allen Hamilton and was a consultant there doing project management and some management consulting too as well.
Okay. And were you working on projects that were for the military, or were you working private projects?
Actually, projects for the intel community.
Oh man. All right. So you're kind of smart then, huh?
I don't know about
that. Yeah. I went to high school in Maryland, and I had a lot of buddies who, you know, were working in that space out in DC. I actually worked on the F-35 project, the one that was like billions of dollars over budget. Well, it wasn't my fault, but I was like a little peon in that project. Sweet, man. So how did you make the transition, or how did you end up, you know, in the real estate space, right?
No, one other thing I forgot to mention is while I was at Booz Allen Hamilton, I actually ended up getting my MBA as well, just to round out my skill set. But as far as getting into the real estate world, well, what happened was I did a little bit of real estate here and not here, but in Maryland and in DC when I was there, just getting to understand it. And then while I was in my MBA program, my father had passed away, and he had left us a 4-unit mobile home park and a house that was being rented. So I had to take over that and get into that. And so I did that for probably about the better part of 9 to 10 years. And then we actually ended up selling the mobile home park. And so I had some extra money that I needed to put to work. And I looked at stocks, crypto, single family home investing, also options, looked at a whole bunch of different things, including multifamily. And I ended up landing on multifamily as the one I wanted to go towards because it allowed a win-win relationship between the investor and the actual operator of the multifamily.
Well, hold on. I want to take one step back. You said you went to get your MBA to round out your skill set. So what was your MBA in?
Oh, my MBA was a general MBA, but focused on international business.
Okay. All right. That's what's up. How are you using that today? Or are you?
Well, the thing is that we got a little taste of everything. But one thing we did too, we got
Hmm.
into was finance, which is I could use a little bit of that on the real estate side, looking at performance. Being that my background's in engineering and also with the MBA, I'm very comfortable with spreadsheets. So that's probably the biggest part of what I'm used to that I use my degrees for.
Yeah. So uh, I'm always curious, right? Like, I was thinking about going back and getting an MBA as well, but I haven't yet. Do you think it's worth it?
To be honest with you, if depending on what you're looking to get into, if you're looking to get into multifamily or get into like hotels, which is the other thing I'm getting into, you really don't need it. Most of the time, that unless you can go to a school like Babson where they teach you entrepreneurial MBA, it would probably be worth it. But other than that, they basically teach you how
Hmm.
to be an employee, and being an entrepreneur is not being an employee. So you don't learn as much as what you would need to do to be working in the on the real estate side. Yes, you get your accounting. Yes, you get your finance,
Yeah.
but it's not the level. It's not the specificness that you would need for real estate, whether it be any type of commercial rules that you're looking at.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen those entrepreneurship programs too, and they've always intrigued me. But yeah, we'll put that on hold for now. I'll pay an accountant, right?
Yeah, exactly.
um, right. Um, all right. So, obviously, rest in peace to your father. It sounds like that was 9, 10 years ago, but I know it's always tough. But dad had a single family and some other rentals. You took over them. And then how have you kind of segued that experience into multifamily? I know you've closed on a deal and the
Mm.
hotels.
Well, the thing is that um, one of the things I work with is a property manager on the properties for the loaning out leasing out the lots. So I got the experience of dealing with a property manager on a property, and also learning what entails with managing a single family home, which I manage myself without a property manager. So I got
Hmm.
that experience. But when you get into the multifamily space, you're not dealing with just one; you're dealing with multiple if you're getting into it. And my sweet spot is staying between 50 to 150 units, which with that level of amount of units you're looking for, there's no way you can do it by yourself, or you drive yourself crazy if you do. So you have to bring in partners. You
Right.
also have to bring in also secondary roles as far as accounting, which you mentioned earlier. Also looking at different types of attorneys like real estate attorneys, business attorneys, and getting used to talking with them and working with them is part of what I gain the most.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that is super helpful, I'm sure. How about this? Tell me about the deals that you've closed so far and the ongoing deals, right? So I think it was a 63 unit, right? Kind of
60,
walk me
65.
through. Was it 63 units? Oh yeah,
65.
my bad. I'm cutting you
Yeah,
short,
no
bro.
problem.
Yeah, that's me. That my bad. Yeah, those no, I'm with you, bro. That extra two, man, that's 65. Ooh, wee. But yeah, tell me about that process. How did that go? How were you introduced to the deal? What market is it in? And how's it going so far?
Well, the thing is, my strategy as far as investing in hotels and also apartments is to work with the experienced sponsors who are actually going out and getting deals. So I actually go and get on those deals after they've
Hmm.
already done a lot of the legwork up front, and I get in it and I do capital raising, and I also work on the asset management side, actually managing the assets themselves, like specifically the 65 unit in Charlotte. I'm actually on the asset management team for that. Now, this other one that I'm working on, which is another deal that's a sponsor had already been working on, I'm doing cap raising for that, and I'm also doing looking for the financing for the deal too as well. And that deal right now, I think if I remember right, it's right around anywhere between 120 to 130 million. So it's a big leap from what I started off with on the 65 unit apartment complex.
Hey guys, my company, Paige Capital Group, is actively sourcing and buying multifamily deals. If you're looking to put your money to work, gain some tax efficiencies, and grow your portfolio while we do all the heavy lifting, go to pagecapitalgroup.com/invest. That's Page, PAIGE, capitalgroup.com/invest, and someone from our team will reach out. Now, back to the show. Okay. That's a lot to unpack there. Obviously 120 to 130, but that's a lot of money. We'll hold on that. Let me put a pin in that, and let's go back to the 65 unit, right?
Mhm.
So you're saying that somebody, the sponsor that you're working with, already done all the legwork, all the market research, aligned the financing, was in the process of raising, and then they tapped you and said, "Hey, Charles, you want to come be a part of this deal?"
Correct. And this is what I tell everybody when it comes to anything with commercial real estate investing or just real estate investing in general, is you have to network,
Mhm.
network, network, network. And that's the way I've actually found out about this particular sponsor. And they saw a couple of deals that they needed some help
Mhm.
on, and I was able to jump in and help out.
The due diligence period, right? Were you involved in any of that? Were you involved in any? Did you underwrite the deal? Because I'm always curious, right? Like, I do believe the fastest way to get in the deal is to bring the money to it, right? So,
Correct.
kudos to you on that, right? Um, but I'm just curious. Like, I want to go a little bit deeper here and kind of share what involvement you had and kind of like uncover what those details are for the listeners and honestly for myself, right? Because I'm always super interested in hearing about how the transition process works.
Oh, okay. Well, I can tell you from the point where I came in the deal, they'd already done the due diligence. They'd
Okay.
already gone through and looked for the financing, and they were going in they're in the process of cap raising at that point. So what I did was my role was to come in and understand the deal itself, look at the underwriting, underwrite it for myself to make sure that I believe that there was going to be a good deal going forward for me and the investors that I was going to bring in. And then from there, we just went and closed the deal at the end of that point in time. And then we started doing the asset management right after that. And with the asset management, that means working with the property manager who's working on the deal, as well as looking out in the future as to what we're going to do for the property once it became stabilized.
Gotcha. So it's your like day one, right? Is was it heads and beds, right? Like you just wanted to get the occupancy up as high as you possibly could, or were you guys, doing some renovations and pushing these rehab units rent prices higher?
Well, in this case, we were lucky. We only had to do a little bit of light rehab, and we are able to push the rents probably about $100 to $200 on each of the units because of that. Um,
Okay.
just because of where we just found a good opportunity in a good part of Charlotte, and we are able to take advantage of that.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. Okay, now back to the $120 million hotel, man. Tell me about that, because me personally, I'm a general partner on a hotel conversion out in Overland Park, with a group of us. Cornelius Cannon, who you know,
Hmm.
and the process has been interesting to say the least. But if I remember correctly, you guys are going ground up, right?
Correct. It's actually a ground up development in Sarasota, Florida, and it's a 16-story building with if I remember it's 120 units that are hotel, and then a portion of those 35 of those are condos. So it's a hotel condo development that's being done. So the thing is that here, if you don't know anything about Sarasota, Sarasota is a very hot market. People are moving there from all across the country. So that's one benefit of the deal. The other benefit of the deal is actually it's a Hilton. It's a Hilton Tapestry, which is part of their luxury brand that they bring to the market.
Hmm. So how do you like? Do you have to like pay a what is it called? Like a franchise fee or franchise taxes when you're using the Hilton brand?
Yeah, you pay them a fee for using their brand, but you get to use their systems, which is well beneficial. Plus, you get the advantage of using their brand and the people that they bring to the market, bring to the hotels. Like every hotel
Okay.
brand has a group of people that only stay in those certain hotels, and so they can get the benefits of the rewards and things like that. So we get the benefit
Yeah.
of that by just being associated with that brand.
Yeah. In the condo part of it, these are long term rentals, or are these? Do you sell
No,
them?
sell them. These would be residences that they'll be living in. And if I remember right, the
Okay.
lowest one is 1.8 million to rent. And they rent around 1,800 to 2,700 square feet each of them. And hopefully, once
Whew.
all those get sold, after I remember right, is that the condos alone should bring in anywhere between 80 to 90 million and once sold.
Wow. How do you underwrite for that, right? Like the market, the residential market, the interest rates are so high. Um, like, how do you underwrite conservatively to make sure that you're hitting your investor numbers when, we don't really know what's going to happen with the rates? We know they're going to go down. We just don't know how much in
Right.
2024.
Well, the thing is, Richard, the only way you can underwrite it conservatively is take a look at what's going in the market for similar properties, and then match your underwriting to that, and then be even a little bit more conservative above and beyond that to make sure you have a cushion. So the thing is that
Hmm.
this is not the only luxury hotel in Sarasota downtown. There's a couple of, there's a Ritz Carlton, if I remember right, I think there's a Marriott, but I don't quote me on that. Uh, so you have these other luxury hotels that are out there that you can compare to and get room rates from those two as well. Plus, there's something called a star report, and that's a report that each one of the individual hotels provides their financials to this group. It's a group that's owned by CoStar, and they provide this information to them about their financials. So if you can get a star report on the area, on the hotels in the area, you can get a pretty good idea of what kind of business you can do. And this particular hotel actually has a restaurant in it too, as well as a bar. We'll have a restaurant in the bar.
Oh, nice. Okay. And those are run internally, or do you just rent out the space to other operators?
We rent out the space.
Rent it out. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So I'm super curious about this because this is all new to me, right? Like I've seen hotels, but I've never really heard how the development process works. So with where you guys are at currently, I'm assuming you already have like site control of the land and all of that,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
then it's all zoned.
Yes. One of the things with Sarasota in the area, which is a barrier to entry for other people coming into the market, is in Sarasota, you have a height limit as to how high you can build your hotels. And ours is 16-story, and I can't remember
Mhm.
what the limit is, but to build up to 16-story, there's only one other permit that's allowed within the downtown area to do that. Well, there were two, but we took one of them. So there's only one other hotel that can be built to the same size of ours. So that's a barrier. Like I said, that's a barrier to entry for others coming into the market as well.
Mm-hmm. What's the whole time, right? When you're speaking with your investors on this deal, how long are you expecting to hold the property? And then what's your, target or projected ARR, IRR, all that fun stuff?
Well, the actual hold time is going to looking to be for 5 years for investors. Even though at the end of this, they might hold on to the hotel, depends on what the market looks like at that period of time. But
Hmm.
the equity multiple right now is right around 1.89 is the projected on the pro forma. And if I remember right, the IRR is
Okay.
right around between 18 and 20.
18 and 20. Okay. And then can you do a cost segregation study on a ground up development
That's a good question. I don't think you can do it until actually the hotel's built, after it's built.
until it's built?
But you should be
Okay.
able to do it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of investors are looking for those tax efficiencies, so value added's there. But ground up development, I'm not really sure how that works, honestly. Where do the tax plays come in?
Yeah, I'm not. Don't quote me on this, but my thought is that the cost segregation can't happen until after the building's actually built and operational, because you don't have anything to depreciate.
To depreciate, right, right, right. Okay, cool. Um, so what does the team look like? Who's your lead sponsor on that deal?
The lead sponsor of the deal is NASA Investments. It's a group out of Cincinnati that has right now. I think he has 3 or 4 hotels under his belt, not including this one that's being done right now, and another group called Trep Development that
Okay,
actually did the architecture in that portion of it. And those two are the lead sponsors on the
gotcha,
deal.
gotcha. I need a name. I don't know the companies. Is there anybody that I know
The actual one of
or
the deal
have heard
sponsors
of?
for I know the person I know is the person who's a sponsor on NASA, and his name is Mike Ely. He runs
Mhm.
out of Cincinnati and has a private equity firm out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, I love Mike. Shout out to Mike. I see him on social media a lot, and he looks like us. So, hell
Yeah,
yeah, bro. It's not something you see a lot.
right.
Seriously.
Him and Don Peoples
That's
are a
awesome.
little, but
How did you get linked up with him?
I'm actually a part of
There's
his group.
Brandon Rule too. He's also.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of
Go ahead.
him.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
But I'm actually a part of
Yeah,
Mike and
he's a
his group,
boss.
plus several other groups that I'm in for mastermind groups, and I just basically just talked to him about getting involved with the deal, and it looked like it was a place where I could fit, and I got to wait and see how it's going to turn out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congratulations, man. That's really cool. And shit, having that on your resume, that would be huge. $120 million. Oof.
Yeah,
And that's
the
just
thing is,
construction, right? Like that's just the cost of building.
oh well, no, well, yeah, that's just the cost of building. That's not the cost of what the actual property will be worth once it's actually built. That number I don't
After.
know, but I know it's more
Right.
than
Right.
120 million. Like I know right now the
Yeah. Well,
construction costs are estimated to be about 50 million, even though we're looking for 70 million. And another type of financing called CPACE, which is really for the
oh yeah,
environmental and
pace.
also that sort of thing. When it comes to building hotels, you can get funding through I think it's through a government agency if I remember correct. But that we're looking for 40 million. So that right around that mark of
Yeah.
120 to 130 million.
Yeah. With the pace funding, you can get all the eco stuff, right? So
Mhm.
if it helps reduce emissions, like appliances, windows, roofs, HVAC systems, like so much stuff can run through pace. And then it doesn't tie to anybody, it ties to the property, which is super helpful as well. We'll look into that a little bit for some previous projects. That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations. I honestly, I want to stay in touch with you just to see how this progresses. Because, bro, it's not every day that you're part of a group that's building a damn Hilton hotel.
Yeah,
um, right.
yeah,
If you could go back to day one, going into the multifamily space, right, making that transition from the single family space, right, to the multifamily space, was there anything that you would do differently?
the one thing I can think of is I probably would have gotten a mentor sooner than I did.
Hmm.
Only because that I mean, once I got the mentors, when things started to roll. Um, my very first coach slash mentor is a guy out of Canada named Marcin Droz, and he's done a lot of capital raising and also manages a lot of properties too as well. But he also has a mentorship group as well on there, and they do both the mentorship on capital raising and also the multifamily side. But I didn't get into that until probably 3 or 4 months after I started looking at multifamily from the very beginning. But I would say the best thing to do would be
Right.
the two things I would do is one, get a mentor, and the other thing is start networking from day one. Even if I didn't know anything, start networking from day one.
Yeah, that's I mean, and the thing about it is I feel like anybody who's had a little bit of success is coming out with a course these days. There's so many to choose from, and
Right,
they all range. Like, I bought the multifamily mindset course for a lot of money, and I literally just signed up this year for Vina Jetty's course. She's from Vive Funds. She has $1 billion in transactions in the
right.
multifamily space. So, I'm going through her content. I'm networking with her people. But you're right, though. It's a cheat code, right? Like, why start from zero when you can stand on the shoulders of giants? And that's definitely
Mhm.
how I'm looking at it. It's an investment to the future. So with that, who are some people that you look up to in this space? Who are you modeling yourself after? Real quick, guys, if you're enjoying this show and want to help us grow, share, shoot us a 5-star rating, and follow the show on Apple or Spotify. My goal is to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger guests on the show to reach more like-minded real estate investors and help everyone be more bold and build more wealth. Now, back to the show.
Um, that's a kind of a tough one to answer, but uh, there's a couple different people. Most of right now, I'm minding myself after what Mike Ely has already done, just because he's the one in the space that I know on the
Mm,
hotel side and is actually doing it and teaching people how to do it. So I would say him right now.
yeah. I'm going to reach out to him. I'm just going to slide in his DMs. You know what's funny about Mike? So I post to my stories, and I'm just now starting out on Instagram, right? So if you're not following me, you should. Trae Jacobs _, shameless plug there. But I'll post a story, And then Mike would come through and he would like that story, but Mike doesn't follow me. And in my head, I'm like, how does that work, right? And he's done it a few times, so it messed with my head because I've seen Mike around. So now, obviously, I gotta slide in his DMs, right, and say what up. 'Cause, uh, oh boy. Okay. And for me, right, like there's a few people that I'm really looking up to right now. One is Vina Jetty, right? Again, $1 billion in transactions. I think on her last deal, she raised her company raised like 50 or $60 million. And my little, brain can't even like quantify that. Like, how in the hell do you raise $50 million from your single company? Right.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? To be in that realm would be cool. So I'm going to buy her course and, try to learn as much as I can from her. And then in like this podcasting space, right? The social media, definitely look up to Rich Summers. I don't know if you've seen him. He does boutique hotels, short-term rentals. Yeah, he's killing the game. He's honestly killing the game. He's out of San Diego. So definitely watch how he's moving and try to take notes and, implement what I can from that. So definitely shout out to Rich and shout out to Vina. Okay, my man. Here's a question.
One other person. The other person which is
hit
far
me.
off and don't only know a little bit about him, is actually Donahue Peoples on the development side.
Don Peoples. I've heard that name, but I don't know where I've heard it from.
He's actually
Don
from
Peoples.
DC.
Right.
He's from DC, or from the DC area, and he's actually done development in New York, Miami. I think he did some stuff in the San Francisco area too as well. But he was also building a tower in New York. The last I heard of it, the Freedom Tower, if I remember, that's the name.
Wow. In New York? Ooh,
yeah.
All that red tape.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for him. Yeah, I'm gonna look into him because that's dope, man. Again, like the ground up stuff, I know absolutely nothing about. I can talk to you all day about value adds and whatnot, but I definitely, and maybe I shouldn't look into it because I'll get sucked in and won't be able to come up for air because I just want to keep learning more and more.
The thing is,
so
the thing is,
what motivates you?
The thing happened for me is that I put on my list for this 2024 to start learning development and understanding it both on the multifamily side and also the hotel side to get familiar with it. So I have that as a tool in my toolbox to do it at some point in the future. So it just happened to both
is that like YouTube University?
No.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I started looking for projects that people are working on that are doing development and looking to get involved wherever I can.
Yeah. I hear that. What's up, man? Okay. So the last year, right? Like multifamily, I'm sure hotels as well. It's been rough with the interest rate hikes, right? What keeps you going, right? Like what is motivating you? What's your why to want to succeed in this space?
Oh, well, I can take it one step even further beyond that. My motivation to succeed is really based upon why we're centered around my family and friends. I want to be the catalyst for generational wealth and financial freedom for my family and for my friends too as well. And I'm not just talking about it. I've actually set up a group called a Financial Mastermind that is with my family and friends, and we bring in speakers every 3 months to talk about different financial topics related to investing and also about estate planning too as well. So, and then just this past last year in July, we had a financial mastermind group that went for about 3 to 4 hours, talking about a lot of different topics related to investing and estate planning. And I'm looking to have another one this coming year, hopefully increasing the amount of people that are going to be there. But I've got a group of people interested. I know that not everybody's going to be interested, not everybody's going to want to attend, but the only thing I can do is just reach out.
Oh yeah, man, that's what's up. That is actually a really great idea. My family probably is nowhere near as big as yours, but shoot, I mean, should definitely look into doing something like that, or even for my community, right? Like I live in an area where, like, could definitely benefit from this type of education. So big ups to you for setting that up, right? All right. So with Hamilton Investments Group, How are you planning to scale your operation in the future?
Well, I've been thinking about that since to be honest with you, day one. Essentially, what I'm looking to do is to get enough skills on the multifamily side, which I've got enough for right now. Now I'm looking to get into the hotels, get that under my belt, and also get the ground up the development of both of those under my belt too as well. And then at that point, once I have a good feel for both of those, is start to work with partners in those two areas and start to bring people on for each one of those different areas to build those spaces. But then the other side of that, outside this, in addition to it, which is outside of the multifamily and kind of commercial space, is looking to buy businesses. And so that'll be the final leg of this,
Mm,
and to have a private equity firm that buys businesses and also does hotels and apartment complexes as well.
it's a hell of an operation. Do you follow Cody Sanchez?
Yeah, I know she is. I read listened to some of her stuff.
Yeah, she's pretty dope when it comes to the buying boring businesses. So what type of boring business do you plan on buying?
I had looked at e-commerce, but I don't think I'm going to do that. All I know right now is I'm looking to get businesses that are somewhere around the 10 million and below mark, as far as what I'm going to be looking for, and then
Hmm.
I'll figure out what type of business I want to
Yeah,
get into for there. I thought about getting into IT since that's my background, but I'm still trying to figure that piece out. That piece is later on, probably not till 2 years out. I want to get these other three things under my belt
right.
in this 2 year period of time.
No, I respect that. I have the same issue though, because I want to get, I want to grow my company. It's Page Capital Group. To be able to do pretty much everything you just listed, right? But I need to find success on one thing before I can move on to the next thing. And sometimes that is easier said than done, right? I'll
Right.
watch a video by Cody Sanchez and she's like, buy businesses. And then I'll go through this YouTube rabbit hole about buying businesses. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I got to focus on multifamily first before I go out there and try to be this, mega empire, right? So
Right.
it's tough. Were you
Well,
around in the last recession in '08?
yeah, I was. I
So
wasn't doing any real estate at that time. I just had the
okay,
single family homes and the lots at that point.
gotcha. Yeah, see, that's an issue I have, right? Like in '08, I was a freshman in college. I did not care about what was going on in the world. I didn't care about economics. I was just, I was in college. I was having a good
Right.
time playing basketball and whatnot. But having lived through that, is there anything from that time period that you've kind of pulled out and plan on leveraging through this next downturn, if it ever really comes?
The only thing is the main thing is just to be keep my eyes open for the opportunities that'll come out of that. With people who have either over leveraged themselves or actually ended up not doing a conservative underwriting and ended up getting themselves in trouble too as well. Looking
Hmm.
for those opportunities to be able to go in there and help them out by taking on the asset myself after that point in time. But other than that, I don't really see that much of a comparison between 2008 and what they say coming up, because in 2008 that's when anybody who could fog up a mirror could get a loan, and there were several people who got loans
Hmm.
that should have gotten loans, where that's and the banks weren't as heavily regulated at then as they are now because of 2008. So my personal opinion is I see a soft landing coming. Nothing with this dramatic crash or anything else. That's what I see as far as the tea leaves are showing me.
Yeah. Again, I wish I was paying attention back then, because I know that this is a big concern for people who are not as in the business as you or I, or probably a lot of the people who are listening to this podcast. So when you're speaking to investors, does that ever come up as an objection or a reason why they might not want to invest in a deal, in your hotel deal?
Well, it's come up, but what I always tell them is that it's really on a deal by deal basis. Every market in real estate, like you can probably heard ad
Hmm.
nauseum, every market in real estate is completely different. So one deal could be in an area that's risky, that doesn't have a lot of migration coming to it, doesn't have a lot of businesses associated with it, or maybe doesn't have a lot of people coming there for vacation, or whatever the situation may be. you have to look at it on a case by case basis.
Right.
I'm not buying properties all across the United States. I'm only looking for properties in the southern U.S., which I think kind of puts a barrier between what could happen and what I think is going to happen down the road as far as looking for opportunities and being in an area where there's positive migration happening. Because I look in the southern U.S.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that your biggest like metric that you're tracking? Like how many people are moving to an area?
Well, I look for that, but I also look for what the median income is in that area, as well as what the actual median
Hmm.
rents are in the area, and make a comparison between those to see what the affordability is on those areas that are there. And I also look at what new
Hmm.
businesses are coming to the area too as well. Like for as an example, I'm about an hour from Savannah, and Savannah has an area outside called not Hinesville, but another area outside that, and that's where there's going to be a battery factory built. So I'm looking in that area because that's
Mm.
going to be a positive area of growth in that area, and they don't have the infrastructure to support that business, much less the other businesses that'll come in to support the battery factory. So it's kind of like looking for those sort of
Yeah.
things that you can find out that are going on. That no matter what happens with the economy, those areas are still going to be good.
That makes sense, definitely. And I'm looking at the same things for multifamily. But how do you do that for a hotel, right? Are you just looking at like tourism rates or like major corporations in the area, or how are you analyzing that aspect with that asset?
It's fairly similar to looking at multifamily. You look at the same metrics. The only thing the difference you're looking at is focus a little bit more heavily on is what businesses are in the area, what new businesses will come in the area that'll need to use your hotel. So if you're strategically located in an area where all the businesses are
Hmm.
coming, you're going to do well. Or if you're strategically located in an area where people want a vacation to, then you'll also be well in that area too as well when it comes to hotels. So those there's several other things you can look at, but those are the two major ones that I look at just before I even get into even
Nice,
looking
man.
at a hotel
Nice.
deal in the area. Like as an example, I was looking for a CoStar report on several areas in Florida to see how they're doing, and then I'll make a decision after I understand
Mhm.
what's going on in the market whether I want to go there, regardless of what's happening with the insurance rates in Florida. I still think there's opportunity.
Yeah, oh yeah, Florida. I mean, my insurance here has gone up in Texas, but not probably not as bad as it is in Florida right now. Holy
Right.
cow. I feel bad for them. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. So how have you leveraged relationships to continue to grow and find the success that you found so far since entering the space?
Like I was saying before, I think networking is probably the most important thing that you can do because once you end up getting into these different networks of different networking groups that are either online or in person, you get to meet people and you meet them where they are and find out what their needs are. Don't focus on what you want. Focus on what they need. And then from there, you can find out if there's some synergies between that. If you can provide something for them that will help them get to the next level that they're looking to get to, then you automatically benefit too as well because you're getting what you want, but not starting from the point of what you want, looking at what they want first.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a bar, bro. That's a bar. Um, Okay, so this is a tough one, right? Because it's all about trust, right? Like when you're working with a sponsor, like how do you know who to trust? There's been so many articles later or lately that have like dropped specific syndicators and saying that their operation is in turmoil and whatnot. But public facing, you don't see any of that.
Right.
Um, how are you navigating that? Like, how do you know who to trust in this space?
Well, the first part, I look at the track record and how long they've been around. Like you mentioned before, the 2008 crisis.
Hmm.
To me, if they were around in 2008 and they fared fairly well during that period of time, then I have a little bit more trust in their ability to manage operations not only now, but when any other turmoil comes up with this supposed recession that's coming forward as it right now. But as far as trusting person, the only thing I can say is it takes time. Just take your time. What I always say is date first, marry later. So get to know them, take your time. Don't overcommit to doing every single thing and building a partnership from day one that's going to last 20 years. Just take it day by day until you get to the point that you understand what they want, what you want, how your skill sets match up, and then go forward from there.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay. Who is the most valuable relationship that you've made in the multifamily space as of today?
Huh. That's kind of hard. I mean,
It's like, yeah, man.
well, I mean, to be honest with you, most of them come from and these are I use the relationship loosely, but there's Martian Droz, because I was in his mentorship program, and also Brian
Right.
Briscoe. I'm not sure if you know him, Brian Briscoe, and another guy named Kyle McEwen, who's
Uh,
also
Brian Briscoe.
he's another group that I have that I'm in called Tribe of Titans. You probably don't know him.
Tribe of Titans. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen Brian
Yeah,
Briscoe. No,
yeah.
I've seen him. He's actually an MFM as well, too. He has a podcast,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. He's a what?
Yeah. He has
You
a
said he has a,
podcast too, right?
yeah, he does. He has a podcast, so he does that all the time. He took a break here for 2 months, but he's
Yeah.
back at it
Yeah. I've seen
again.
that a few times. Yeah. This podcast and stuff, man. It's not for the faint of heart. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, a lot of work.
I get it. All right. So, roadmap for 2024. It's like with goal setting, right? Like you can have your 3 and your 5 year goals, right? But honestly, what really matters is this next 6 to 12 months, right? Like, what are you going to accomplish in that time period that's going to help you get to those 3 to 5 year goals? So, what do you got planned, man? What are your big scary goals?
Well, I'm doing exactly the same thing I did on the multifamily side. I said I kept it simple. I said I just want to get one apartment complex underneath my belt with anywhere between 50 to 150 units in this year. So I was able to accomplish that. So this year I'm going attacking the hotel side the same way, because that's what I'm focused on now. And I'm looking to get one hotel under my belt within the next 6 to 12 months, and added the extra added thing on top of it, which is just cherry on top, is doing a development deal in addition to that too as well. So I'm conquering 2 of the goals that I have in one by getting involved with this hotel deal. But specifically, that's what I'm focused on, is
Yeah,
one
man.
hotel deal.
Okay. All right. I think you're already well on your way. So I need another goal. What's your goal after this hotel deal closes? Right? Like, what is it? Maybe 2 months to raise the money, and then you got 10 more months in a year.
Right. So I mean, the thing is that'll be the end for that piece, but then the actual work of going through the development of it will come up right after that. So what I've seen that as being an area where I can have a little bit of additional time, and so if I can do it, I want to acquire another
Mm.
hotel, not $120 million hotel, a 20, anywhere between 10 and 20 million, looking for a hotel that falls within that. That's a limited service that for right now, looking in the southeast United States for that. And I'm going to be breaking down exactly where the locations are,
Okay.
so I'm not doing a spread fire shot across the whole of the southeast. I'm going to be focused on specific areas I'm looking for hotels in.
Are you so with that, like boutique hotels, right? Are you looking at Airbnb options, or is it strictly like traditional hotel management?
Well, by limited service, what I mean is that the hotel doesn't have a restaurant or any of the other things associated with that. It just really just just beds and rooms, and that's about it. So, and that's what you get on the limited service side. So I'm looking for something like that, something that would be a little easier to run than having to worry about a restaurant and any of the other things that come associated with that too as well. So I'm going to focus on getting one other hotel in addition to that after this deal closes, and we're well on our way. But right now, I'm
Mm.
100% focused on this hotel deal. That, and to be honest with you, it just started probably 2, 3 weeks ago. So I'm knee deep in the middle of it based upon where they are
Oh,
and the evolution
wow.
of the deal. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah. So you got some work to do. It's gonna be,
yeah,
at least it's interesting, right? It's
yeah,
never boring, right?
yeah.
Like,
And I didn't just start
all right,
getting
my man.
well.
Well,
I can tell you, well, the thing is that, but what I tell people, what I would do if I was just starting out and getting into commercial real estate investing is, first of all, I'd pick up as many books as you can and understand as much as you can about the market and about the actual hotel asset that you're actually looking to get into. And then that second thing I would do is I would get a mentor to help speed that and help you get around any mistakes that you would make doing it on your own. And then what I would also do as a part of that is start off by understanding the underwriting first, because that'll help you on the capital raising side when you go to talk to different investors about the market and about the specific deal you're looking at. And then once you have that, if you, depending on how fast you want to grow, my opinion is then focus on the capital raising side, because then you'll have the skill set for, like what I'm looking at, development, hotels, apartments, and then businesses. So I'm planning the same strategy on all of them. Understand the details first.
I love it,
Then
man.
bring my head up from there and start looking at the strategic side by looking at where I can place capital.
Ooh, man, you got it all planned out, man. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. And you kind of stole my thunder, bro. I was going to ask you if you had any advice to people who are just starting out, but you kind of just like knocked it out of the park there. You said read books. What are your top 3 books? Let's get some recommendations.
But as far as when I talk about getting books or getting anything, the first thing I would do is start with the dummy books, or the dummy books that are out there that talk about commercial real estate. And there's one on commercial real estate and there's one on another one, if I can't remember. But start there, because then you get the basics of what you need to know on the commercial side, and then get into specific books, focus on the area you're looking for, whether that be hotels or whether that be apartments too as well. I actually like the best ever book by Joe Fairless, which I thought was pretty good as a recommendation. He goes through in a lot of detail on lots of things related to apartment complexes as well. But that would be probably the one I would start with if you're just beginning, after going through the dummy books.
Okay.
And
yeah, that's solid advice, bro.
To be honest with you, that's my recommendation for anything that you're looking to accomplish. Start with the dummy books, because that'll give you a foundation knowledge.
I see those.
Go ahead.
To like build off of. I've never read one of those though. I've seen them all the time, but I've actually never picked one up to read.
It still gives you broad strokes on any topic you're looking for, and then from there you can get more specific. That's what I found has worked for me.
Nice, man. So wrapping up, bro. I mean, there's a lot of valuable tips in here. I appreciate your time for sure. Any closing words?
No, I would just say, and I've said it a couple times during this, if you want to take anything from what I've said, the most important thing you need to do is network. You can pick up the other pieces, and there's a way that you have. If you do read the books and do everything else as far as the mentorship and everything else, you have a chance of being able to understand the knowledge. But in order to get into deals and to be able to expand and broaden your network and broaden your horizons as far as what you're looking at, you have to network in each of those spaces to find those people that you can work with and allow you to build out in those areas. But all that happens from your network.
I love it, bro. Again, Charles, thank you so much for joining me today. Listeners, this is Charles Hamilton of Hamilton Investments Group. I'll drop his information in the chat. Actually, no, you tell me, where can the people find you? What's the best place to reach you?
Reach me directly through email Charles Hamilton at Hamilton Investments with an S, GRP.com.
Perfect, bro. Perfect. I'll drop that information into the description wherever you're listening or watching. Again, thank you guys. Thank you, Charles. I'm Trae Jacobs. This is Charles Hamilton, and we are out of here. Peace.